Hey everybody, it's tafony here once again, and today I'm rambling about the Bela Gliss. It is a 4HP touch strip controller for Eurorack. It does lots of different things, which we're going to get into, but before we do that, let's get the quick housekeeping out of the way. I'm not affiliated with Bela. I am borrowing this once again from our good Euro pal Mariusz, who was kind enough once again to lend it to me. This isn't sponsored. This isn't journalism. I'm not trying to present it to you or assess it for you. I'm just trying to do a video blog of sorts with my thoughts and journeys in Eurorack and hardware and music and sound design and synthesis and anything else you can think about, but don't expect a assessment or a review, because this is not it. We're just going to have some fun, explore the Gliss together, and I want to give you some of my thoughts on it. But more importantly than all of that, it sounds like this. Okay, Bela Gliss. I want to give my background quick on this before we jump in here. I did have the Gliss as part of the original batch of Eurorack modules that I got when I first started, and I found that, at least for my newcomer brain, that the menu system and jumping around, while incredibly powerful, was too challenging for me, too much of a headache. And when I first, there used to be this, like, I don't know if it's just coming from a guitar pedal background, but I used to have this idea, and it's totally stupid, and I've said this in other videos too, but I used to have this idea that, like, if a module required the manual, that it was not a good module, which is really, really stupid and regressive, and some things are worth it. I think about, like, the Data Bender is, like, my favorite Eurorack module, well, one of them, but definitely, like, took a lot of time in the manual to understand what was going on, how to change it, how to use it, right? But when I was new, I thought the Gliss was just like too much hassle for what it's worth, and I sold it off. But I'm so excited to give it a fair shake this time around. But I want to just sort of like point that out, that I watched a lot of videos of it, or I watched a lot of videos on it before I got it, and I just, like, you see people with it and it looks so fun and so immediate. And then I got it home originally. This is over a year ago now. I got it home originally and I was like, oh God, I don't know how to do any of the things that I watched in those videos on it. So today I think we're going to patch it up. We're going to learn about it. I'm going to rely heavily on the manual, which is usually unusual for these videos, but today I really want to give the Gliss a fair shake, because it is very powerful, it's very compact, and relative to other Eurorack controllers, I think it's also quite affordable for what it can do and what size it's at. Sorry for some connection noise plugging that in, and I want to run through this together and show you some ideas that I use in my patch. But as always, I don't know if viewer discretion is almost what I would want to say, but what I want to say is keep thinking about how you would use it. Don't think about how I'm using it, because you might think how I'm using it is, one, stupid, or you might immediately think, oh, that would be really cool for your own, well, I'm going to say filter sweep because I'm patching it to do a filter sweep, but you could say, like, oh, if I had a quantizer, I could write sequences by running this into it for control voltage, or any, it's modular. Use your imagination to think about how you would like to use this for yourself. Now, Bela Gliss, the interface or lack thereof kind of is what turned me off of it originally, but I think we better go in now and explore what that is and how it works. So, what it is, well, there is the touch strip itself, obviously. I'm going to glitch out my voice along the way because we've patched this into Performer, but I'll start talking about that in a moment. There's 2 outputs and 1 input, 1 button, and this touch controller. Now, they've made, again, all of my complaints with a lot of modules that I put away for the lack of, or the too much menu diving, or again, I always say button combos bad, menu diving good. Menu diving without a screen, I thought it was bad. Well, let me rephrase that because I didn't even do it, right? So today we're actually going to do it. So, the reason I am saying this right now is because I want to say that it's kind of ingenious what they've done to create a whole menu system without a screen, right? It's really admirable. I don't mean to say that it's bad or poorly designed. I would never imply that. And what I want to say right off the rip too is that the Gliss is beautiful. I feel like that's why I was so drawn to it originally. But the lack of screen is a big limitation that they made some pretty crazy, unique, interesting workarounds for. And what those are is using the touch strip. Sorry, have it patched up right now, and different button combos. So it can do lots of things, but you do have to remember or keep the manual by your side, which for some things, it's great, it's worth it. Hopefully the Gliss falls into that category. For other things, it's not worth the hassle. Hopefully the Gliss does not fall into that category. But with that being said, there's 4 performance modes, and how do you access the performance modes? So, you access the performance modes by use of the menu. And like I said, they've created this really cool menu system here with the use of a button combo with lack of screen. So what is that button combo? You hold down the single button and use 2 fingers to touch. So now we've pulled up the menu, and the menu has 4 lights on it. First is the mode button, which is green at the top. There is the settings selector. So these are dependent on the mode, so I'll have to look at what the settings do per mode as we go through it, but there's only 4 modes. I would normally not go to that depth, but I think for the Gliss, because there's only 4 modes, we'll get to that. And then last is the voltage range selector at the bottom in blue. I'll probably try and leave that as default as possible because I'm borrowing this and I don't want to mangle it too heavily, but we'll see what's what with that. Now, again, I just want to point out, you got to remember this, right? You got to remember that green is the mode selector. You got to remember that this layout is the menu. Obviously, if you did that button combination, you're probably here intentionally. But it's just to say that, you might be watching this video and think, what kind of simpleton wouldn't remember that? And I, right here. But just consider that this is all stuff that you'll need to remember if you want to use it. So we're going to change modes here by pressing the first button, the green button, and we'll do an animation to demonstrate the different modes. Now, they're also color-coded, which helps, and the color codes are red for control, which was the first mode we started out in. Yellow is record, that it just demonstrated. Then we'll get in tin 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 tin. That was the signal mode. So that was clip, scale, offset, smooth. I think that's sort of like an attenuverter mode, and I think by default it's outputting voltage that was in this current patch, putting a gate output to my glitch input, and we'll get into that all in a moment. But that was the signal mode. Last mode, the orange mode, which you just saw, was the notes mode. So it is a set of 5 tunable notes, playable as a chromatic keyboard or step sequencer. Very cool. That's make noise pressure points in 4HP in a way. That's, again, you're giving up that size, that 20 HP or whatever the make noise is. You're giving up some encoders, but compact does a lot more features, right? I'm not trying to make heads or tails. Again, as I always say, it's not journalism. I'm not trying to tell you what you should prefer. I'm just trying to say that there's a trade-off of in 4 HP if you can handle the menus, it's cool. It's insanely powerful. If I haven't mentioned that it's powerful enough yet, it is like incredibly powerful, but power comes with learning curve too. So let's start off in the first mode, which is control. Now, there are settings in the control mode. I'm just going to read them out. I don't know if we're going to want to actually change them or not. Let's just check them out. So there is, first one here is touch input type. So you can change that, and it'll change colors to remind you what you're set at, which is also really nice. If you change it, first one was single slider. In orange, it's dual slider. So 2 stack sliders that each output finger position, which is cool because I think in the original mode, which I have it right now, it's gate and gate output at the bottom and then voltage amount at the top, obviously. In the dual slider mode, I think it turns this module into 2 sliders. You know what? Just because we're trying to learn, we got one at the top and yeah, that's cool. So first one, top, second one at the bottom. Yeah. Instead of gates, you get 2 sliders. That's really, really powerful. This thing, I'm never going to attempt to cover everything. Let's do our 2-finger. I didn't mean to make a rude gesture to our European friends. The 2-finger button combo, the peace sign for getting back into the menu. So that was dual slider mode. There's dual touch mode. This is in yellow. This will output touch size instead of sliding. So it's just in there, but you get to. Again, the touch size, if you're gentle enough with it, it won't output gates, or it won't have the 5-volt threshold in mic. But if you add more, it will. If you add more, it will. So that's that one. Back into our menu with our peace sign. If you go into this last one, no, that's back to the first one. Sorry, that was the last one. So that is very cool. The other setting is the latching. So do you want it to be, in the current mode, red is unlatched, the yellow is latched. When you lift your finger off the touch strip, both CV outputs will be held at their last one. And then there is a yellow position, which will, let's see, when you lift your finger off of the touch strip, any CV output mapped to this position is held at the last value, but any output mapped to the touch size will drop to 0 volts. We're going to stick to the red one because you can do this with it. Okay, let's hear. So I'm going to zoom out for a moment here just so you can see the full patch and what we have going on. And so I've patched our second output, which is a gate in this case, to the gate input of that glitch, just to make it really apparent. But then our voltage output at the top, which is the master output of the overseer, or input of the overseer, I should say. And again, this is what I wanted to say about on the build quality is really cool, is that you can use one and not the other in this patch by not pressing really hard, right? So I'm not outputting 5 volts worth of gate, right? Because I can when I want, when I want to, right? I think. Yeah, that's, anyway, it just, very nice. And the other thing I wanted to demonstrate in this video, this is sort of like the bread and butter mode, but there is on the fly latching, and I believe that is done with this. If you press the button, it'll hold your last position. Very nice. Now if I press the button again, let's go the latch. Or if I touch off, it'll do the same. So that's great, honestly. But again, you got to remember all of this stuff, right? Just touching off to do it. We'll glitch it by use of the gate. I think that's pretty sweet. I mean, this is basically what I did with the manipulator video, right? With those joysticks. Yeah, like, it feels great. It's just getting your literal hands on it is fun. It's just jamming it out, right? That's great. That sounds sarcastic. It genuinely is great. Let's get into another mode so this video isn't forever long. This is the record mode, and really quick, I want to go over the settings with it. So again, 3 settings. There is the touch input type on the second knob, we have 1 single slider, 2 dual slider, 3 dual touch, and then 4 slider and touch, which is new. Okay, I guess that is in not this firmware. Interesting. Okay, that is in the current firmware in the manual I'm reading off of. That's okay. We're going to go into the second mode, which is loop playback or trigger playback. We're going to loop playback for simplicity. There's clocked playback as well. Hello. Against an incoming clock. Okay, so you patch the clock in. Wow. Again, there's so much you can do, which is like crazy. Wavetable. What? Jesus. Wave shaper? What is happening? That is insanely deep. Okay, for my own sanity, let's get out and do the looper. So it loops in a way that out of the gate, no pun intended, is really straightforward and easy. If I want to get rid of this though, I press it, that restarts it. Yeah, restarts it. Okay, because I don't want the loop. How do I clear the loop though? So I'm overwriting it. Interesting. That can go so deep. Okay, and it's recording those gates too. So if I glitch it out, if I just tap to the bottom, that's little enough voltage to just be a blank loop in my mind. If we bring this in, I'm make crazy LFO with gate. I'm making a crazy LFO with gate. And I know what you're thinking, why don't you patch your voice after the performer? Well, it's because it has an onboard compressor that I really like to have them both for. Anyway, not sync to a clock, or anything like that, but yeah. Bring our gates in. You know what I'll say? This is a lot easier to do than I remember. And with that, let's get into the third mode, which is the signal mode. So clip, scale, and offset, smooth. Clip, scale, offset, smooth, and visualize your signals. In signal mode, you can visualize and manipulate incoming signals, significantly enhancing the flexibility of your pre-existing modulation sources, clip, scale, offset, smooth, CV, or audio input. But you're ready to be passed around your system. Interesting. Okay, you know what? With that, let's do a mono input voice. Okay. And a output here. And this will be overseer. We get out of here. Okay, so it's visualizing that. Okay, we want to do audio though, so we'll go back into our settings. We'll go to the selector. So right now, control voltage, input signal is the first setting. So right now it's in control voltage, but we want audio signal, which we've got. And then second one, we want to change our output type. Oh, there's an envelope follower. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So orange is envelope detector. Yellow is inverted envelope detector. Wow. That is so deep. Again, like, that's just insanity. Okay, so if I'm in output 1, how do I mangle that? Where is the... Sorry, need to find it. So 2, we've set our output type to signal. And our input is audio signal, output is signal. So this should, yeah, we can see our incoming audio, like a level meter, which is cool. I mean, that's fun on its own. Maybe I'll bring the camera back in to be closer on it, but can use it as a mute here. Interesting. Okay. But also envelope follower in there. That is too deep to demo right now, but just know, check out some other demos on it, because, if that interests you, because, yeah, envelope follower is crazy. Turn this thing into a utility machine. Now, with that being said, one of the more commonly used ones, I would say, is, oh, hello, the notes mode. So I'm going to actually, for the sake of not messing with the person who I bought this from settings, I'm going to switch this one over to the other Bela Gliss that is in here, because they have two of them, and this one is using a notes mode that is set up and ready for that. So what settings are they using? They are using, let me see here quick, sorry, I need to pull up the manual again for lots of these things. We have settings mode. Red is keyboard, so it's in 5 buttons of CV mangling. Then there is a sequencer mode. So when you're playing notes as a sequencer, the notes are triggered in sequence by an incoming clock signal, which is very cool. I'm not going to do that for this one, just for simplicity. Second one, quantization, is red for off and orange for on. We definitely want quantization setting. Then option 3 is vibrato depth in keyboard mode. I don't think we want to... Whoa, okay, it has a slider on. Again, like, it's insanely deep, and, you know, if that is something that interests you, the vibrato depth, definitely check that out. So, you can tune these notes. There is precise tuning, but for the sake of this video, we are going to roll with the notes that are on board, because they are already tuned to, I believe, the minor scale, if I'm not mistaken. Forgive me if I am, but I believe there's gate out of the bottom as well. Yep. So I'm using the plasma voice right now, volt per octave into the pitch input, and gate into the trigger input. Let me just bring that into my mixer so we can hear it. Now again, because they're triggers, my okay. Yeah, because they're triggers, there's no envelope going to the plasma voice, right? So plasma voice will just turn on. So let's find a different patch, and I'll just... Maybe let's get a lead. Yeah, okay. So if we bring my drums back in. Yeah, problem with that one being the trigger input. You kind of want to send gates to the gate, right? Or to an envelope. Maybe if we made it really short, turned up the volume a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's how I would use it as much, but it's very cool nonetheless. If that sounds like, I don't know, if you're building like a live performance rig and you came in with, if you in the middle of your set jammed out a full melody on your modular, rocking a touch strip sequencer, I would be incredibly impressed. So, with that being said, I think that's everything there is to say about the Gliss. For me, I thought that the menu system was really daunting. Again, there's a trade-off of, if I can ever fix my camera, hold on. There's a trade-off of immediacy with depth that, the menu system is a chore, but looking at the menu, or looking at the manual about the menu now, I'm kind of looking at myself like, it's so easy. I can't believe I thought that was such a big chore when it really was super straightforward. So, some things in your rack are worth it, and I would say that the Bela Gliss, it's worth learning, because if you can get around that small thing, and if it becomes a frequent part of your patches, you won't have to relearn it ever, right? Yeah, if that doesn't sound like too much of a headache to you, then I think it is a tremendously powerful 4HP controller. And yeah, what do you think of the Bela Gliss? I'm not trying to engagement farm. I'm just curious how other people feel about it. And what are your thoughts, your usage? What do you use the Bela to what do you use the Bela to control, I guess? I'm super curious. Whenever I see CV outputs like this, I'm always like, oh, I get to filter sweep in a way that isn't breaking my overseer's knob more than it already is. But yeah, what do you use your Bela Gliss for? And I believe it's open source. If that's the case, let me know if it's worth installing the third-party firmware. So, thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm Tafony. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.